My college says if I miss class to testify at my assault trial, they'll drop me from my classes. My college says if I miss class to testify at my assault trial, they'll drop me from my classes. I.A. I was sexually assaulted while home over a break, not by another university student, and the trial of my attacker starts in 2 weeks. I am a university student about 5 hours driving distance from my hometown where the assault occurred, and I'll need to travel there to testify at the trial. I'd spoken to my advisor and all my professors, notifying them of the days I'd be out, and everyone was understanding, giving me take-home versions of any tests or work I'd be missing. Unfortunately, one of the days I'll likely need to be cut coincides with midterms, so my professor was required to get approval from the academic dean and dean of the college to issue a take-home midterm. His request for the take-home midterm was denied, and when it came to the attention of these deans, they contacted all my professors and informed me if I missed that many classes, it would be approximately 2 of each class, maybe 3 depending on some court scheduling, and 4 of another class, but it meets every day of the week. My professors were comfortable making these as reported absences, which basically means there was a justification, like a doctor's note or other official documentation. I showed the deans that I was in fact being called to testify by the defense, so it wasn't even really like I had a choice. I figured that would be enough documentation. The dean said that personal non-medical conflicts could not be counted as report absences and would be treated as unreported absences. So treated as the same thing as if I just slept through class. They suggested I apply for a leave of absence for the semester because otherwise I'd be dropped from my classes at the 3rd absence and I'd be on probation if I dropped from 2 or more classes, school policy. This attack took enough from me already. I went to great lengths to be sure I didn't miss a day of school while recovering. I do not want this man to derail my life further by pushing back my graduation date. I spoke to the Title IX office, who'd promised me they could help, but it turns out their idea of helping was helping me plan my leave of absence. I do not want to take a leave of absence. All my professors were ready and willing to work with me, and I am entirely capable of keeping up with work. Do I have any legal recourse here against the school? Thank you in advance. Commenter 1. What would the leave of absence entail that you are against it? Would it force you to retake all your classes? OP's response. I would have to withdraw from my university for a full semester, leaving me to either spend all summer in school, thus unable to work full-time, or graduate late, and there's no guarantee I'd even get my full tuition back. Commenter 2. Have you been served a subpoena? Does your university consider a court order as a legitimate excuse for missing class? If no and yes, ask the attorney to subpoena you and show that as documents. OP's response. I have been subpoenaed and showed the documentation to the deans. Unfortunately, it isn't just missing the midterm. It's missing any classes at all. And I have class 5 days a week, and the court doesn't run on weekends, which is why they're pushing me to take a leave of absence. I'll keep trying to push the subpoena as proof I absolutely need to be there to get justice, and it isn't like it's a fun outing for me, like I'm trying to skip class for Law and Order type experience. Thanks. Commenter 3. I'd get that in writing from the dean and go over his head, because there's no possible way the campus legal team would be at all happy to know what he was doing. And I doubt the rest of the university administration would like their campus to be the focus of news reports on colleges forbidding victims of crimes from testifying in court. Make an appointment with whoever is immediately above your dean, maybe the chancellor depending on your U, and talk to them. OP's response. Thank you. I hadn't even considered the legal team because in my mind, they're there to protect the administration or the administration. I'll look into that. Thanks. Commenter 4. At most, you'd be out less than a week for a trial. This doesn't make any sense. They won't allow you to reschedule to take a midterm for the following week? OP's response. Unfortunately, the issue is not just midterm. The midterm is what brought my situation to the administration's attention. Their main concern is with the absences. The minimum amount of time I'd need to be home for the trial would see me drop from at least 1 class, likely more, which puts me on an academic probation. So I would then have to retake the courses over the summer or delay my graduation date to finish. I'm going to check into a proctored midterm at a college or a library near my town to solve that issue, and then try to address the absences through other means. Commenter 5. You should be able to get the court to work around your school schedule. Courts are often willing to consider a victim's legitimate life obligations. There may be a victim advocate you can speak to at the courthouse to help you navigate it. If not, your lawyer or the prosecutor can enter a request to change the date on your behalf. I hope it all works out for you. OP's response. Thanks. Unfortunately, I have classes 5 days a week, and the court doesn't run on the weekends, so no matter when I testify, it'll conflict. But I do have that in my back pocket if it would be easiest to schedule my testimony around my midterms instead of the other way around. So I'm keeping my options open with that one and discussing it with my prosecutor next thing tomorrow. Update. October 8th, 2018, over 3 weeks later. Thanks to everyone's terrific advice, I got my university's ombudsman involved, and also reached out to a local survivors group, similar to RAIN, who connected me to a wonderful attorney who facilitated me and the legal service team at my school. Within a day of meeting of the school's general counsel, my attorney and I were invited to meet with the deans who had made the initial decision. One of my professors, who apparently saw my legal advice posts and put 2 and 2 together, my professors were not previously aware of the full extent of what was going on, and he and my other professors submitted a letter on my behalf protesting the administration's decision, copying the board, ombudsman, legal counsel, and high-level members of the administration, which is incredibly touching. I am still overwhelmed in trying to properly thank them. Between my professor's incredible gesture and my showing up with an attorney raising flags, the meeting, I was given carte blanche to work out the details of my absences between myself and my professors. I'll take them at school, just early. And 2 were able to give me modified assignments that could be done at home, but still exemplified the same knowledge and skill sets. The ombudsman and the legal counsel assured me that they are looking into the policy that caused this ordeal in the first place. The ombudsman in making sure the policy is being correctly and reasonably enforced, e.g. not used to coerce students into violating a subpoena, and the legal counsel is advising the administration on new guidelines for the policy, so no one else has to experience this going forward. Thank you everyone here who took time to give me such helpful advice. I appreciate all of you. Post made by user Crazy Bitch Tenant. A friend of mine broke into my house, put her stuff at random places to make it look like she's been a tenant. Cops arrive, finds her stuff all over the place, and so of course they won't remove her. What do I do now? I have a friend who called me last night asking for a place to stay. I politely told her no. She's 25, I'm 19, and I should mention she's a narcissistic bitch. Today I was over at my cousin's place this morning, and when I came home a couple hours ago, I found this bitch inside my house. No signs of break-in from the outside. I asked her how she got in, and she tells me through the back window. I tell her I never gave you permission to come here, and that she needs to leave immediately, and she says, deal with it. I call the cops and tell them that there's a person who got inside my house without my permission, and that I need an officer to come and remove her. A couple of minutes later, they arrive, and here's what happens. She tells them, I know my rights, officers. I've been a legal tenant in this house for 2 months now, and you can't just remove me. I can go around and show you my clothes and my wardrobe, my toothbrush and my conditioner in the bathroom, and all my other stuff. They take a walk with her, and all of her fucking stuff is all over my house. She fucking broke into my house, put her stuff all over so that the cops would think she's been a tenant. The next thing that they tell me is that I have to serve her with an eviction notice, and that they can't legally remove her since she's considered a tenant. I didn't even know what to tell them, as I felt so dumbfounded and shocked I was set up like this. I was just silent. I was silent for a few seconds, and so they tried to explain how the law works to me, but since I just kept looking at them in silence, not believing myself, they just proceed to leave. I'm so fucking pissed. I'm in California, so I can't even record her confessing to what she's done. If I can do that under an exception, I could easily do it because apparently she has no problem admitting to it when the cops aren't here. I'm not, however, going to do so if it will lead to more problems. I've also thought about calling 911 or the non-emergency line and telling the operator about the situation so that the call would be recorded and then make my friend confess about it. Can I do that? Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. How do I get this bitch out without having to serve her an eviction notice? Isn't that against the law what she did there? Isn't this fraud? I've thought about trying to prove that she's been living somewhere else before, but I don't know what to do. This is fucked up. I'm really sorry about my language, but I'm feeling really so angry, and I'm trying to be calm as much as I can while she's in my fucking house using my stuff and I can't do shit about it. Comment or response. Me and the operator are aware of the call being recorded. I think it still would be unlawful. Yes, because the person being recorded isn't consent. How do I get this bitch out without having to serve an eviction notice? If the police won't take action, eviction is all you have. OP's response. Even if I found a way to prove she wasn't living here? So what? Now I can go to any of my friends' houses and put my stuff there and basically live there for free? If I eventually get proof she faked this, what can I do at that point? Comment or response. It's difficult to prove a negative, especially given that she didn't have another place to stay. Still, if you believe you have the evidence, you can try the police again. But if the police don't do anything, eviction is your only option. OP's response. So basically anyone could go break in anywhere at a friend's house and this would work? This is ridiculous. Comment or response. Tenants are given broad protection against being kicked out. This is a good thing. In your case, you have a situation where someone isn't a tenant but looks exactly like a tenant. That sucks, but it's an edge case. A one-off. It just doesn't happen that often. So yeah, in the extremely rare circumstance that someone breaks into your home with no damage and scatters enough stuff to make it look like they're a tenant, you get a little boned. It sucks. But the worst thing you can do is compound it by trying to kick her out without the eviction. Comment or response. I'm going to go in a completely different direction and suggest that you get a protection order. This woman is dangerous and completely out of touch with reality. If I were you, I would be very, very scared. Go down to the court and fill out an order for temporary protection. The form will ask you if you two live in the same house. Say no. Put in her last known address. You should get her order to stay away from you, and she won't be able to enter the apartment as it would be breaking the order. If you need to call the police, you can call them and tell them you have an order of protection against this person, and they will make her leave. You do not want a residence exclusion order, which requires actual violence. You want a stay away order. Update, next day. I texted one of her friends on Instagram who I know is close to her and explained what happened. She gave me her boyfriend's name on Facebook and told me to talk to him to see if he can persuade her to leave. I've reached him and we got on the phone a few minutes ago. He said he can come over after work and see what he can do. Is there anything I can do before he comes here? Do I start recording video? Do I call the cops instead? Do I bring in a third witness? I'm really afraid if this ever turns into a domestic violence of some sort if any of them decide to do anything stupid. Keep in mind I'm 19 and both of them are well over my age by a lot. Comment response. It's time to call in a friend. A close one. I would propose your mom actually. Middle-aged women often have a magical, violence de-escalating effect on unknown quantities. The point is someone calm, very calm. You don't need another voice here, you need a witness. If all goes well, I would suggest you lock the door behind her and this time lock your windows. The problem with that, of course, is the cops have already decided she lives there. So if she calls them claiming you locked her out, you're shit out of luck. In these circumstances, it might be worth the risk. Can you begin accumulating evidence she did not live there as of yesterday? Call friends and family who can verify you lived alone or who can say where she lived? Instagrams of her taking pics of her place, Facebook posts where she indicates where she lived or implied is not with you. Like, can I come over from a few days ago would be great. Once you're done with her, don't ever talk to her again. That's it. This is a new level of crazy and it's going to burn everything it touches. Comment or response. I didn't tell my mom about any of this yet because she worries about me a lot and she already has a lot of issues going on, so I didn't want to put any pressure on her. I think I have to call her now though. I know for sure she'll have my back on this. When I looked up her Instagram account, I found lots of pictures in Arizona that she was still dumb enough to have tagged with a location. The pictures were taken within the past month. I took screenshots as well as archiving them like a web version. I also wrote down a transcript of how the conversation went down when she called me, asking to stay at my place and I refused. I've screenshotted the conversation with a friend as well. Comment or response. Why didn't you follow the advice in the previous post and pursue a restraining order? OP's response. Someone mentioned I should try and contact one of her friends and family and let them try and talk to her, so that's what I did. I'm hoping it works. If not, I'll go file the restraining order. Final update. First of all, I want to explain what happened, apologize, and thank all of you. Long story short, as soon as her boyfriend came in, she started crying hysterically. I told them I'm recording video of them through my phone, but they seemed uninterested in what I had to say. She started blaming him for all sorts of stuff. He kept apologizing a lot, and after what seemed like an eternity, she packed her stuff and they were both gone. Now, I'm writing down on a piece of paper all of your different advice. I'll file a restraining order against her. I'll also file a police report and talk to the sheriff explaining everything that happened. I've documented all I could. I have screenshots of her Instagram account with the pictures tagged to AZ, Arizona, plus the video of her and her boyfriend arguing in my house and then packing and leaving together. My mom's main concern right now is getting the protective order ASAP and installing an alarm system in my house. She said she'll be staying with me until I can get a company to install the alarm system on Monday. Thank you guys for suggesting to call my mom. It made me feel a lot safer while she was here. Apology. I know how annoying it was for you guys to keep giving me advice that I should file the restraining order and go to the police only to find me not do any of those things, but invite a stranger into my house. My mom also pointed out how badly this could have gone with her boyfriend coming over. Commenter response. I've been thinking about this since I read it. Honestly, I hope it's fake. If the cops showed up and this lunatic told them that she was a tenant, why would OP not say something like, fine, prove to them you live there. Where's your lease? Where are your keys? Where do you sleep? Show them your license with this address. Show them a piece of mail that's been addressed here. OP's response. I wish you were here with me, man, and pointed those things out. It just took me off guard. I just stood there saying nothing. Anyway, I'm so lucky it didn't go worse. I'm just really relieved this whole thing is off my chest now. I'm truly thankful for each one of you. TLDR. She's gone. Original poster, Lalu014. After I, 36F, told my dad and stepmom, both late 50s, about my engagement, and their response triggered me to suddenly remember years of repressed childhood memories, and now I do not know how to move forward with our relationship. Long post, but there's kind of a lot to this. Repressed childhood memories coming back? I have heard of this happening, but honestly, I never thought I'd experience it. Holy shit, this has been jarring. My dad and stepmom have been together since I was 3, so 33 years. My childhood was a disaster zone. I have lost large chunks of time where it is a big blank area. I thought it was maybe because I had taken too much Benadryl as a kid because my allergies were so bad that I didn't remember much. Dark, murky memories would come up, but I had no real timeline of my childhood. My mom was married many, many times, and we moved a lot, and she had a baby, and then another baby, and then 2 more babies. I can sometimes piece together a home we lived in, or what school I went to, but it's all a blur. I was both my parents' first child and the baby of a teenage marriage. There was alcoholism and drug use and chaos. Some things have always stood out, like the time a stepdad put a gun to my mom's head, or my sister being born, or times when we had to move out fast and we were told to start throwing things we wanted into a garbage bag and put them in the car. My mom and I were very close, and I was kind of her co-pilot through all the crap. Crazy as our life was, I loved the hell out of her, and she died 2 years ago from cancer. All in all, I have had a kind of hero through it, my dad. About a year ago, my dad, stepmom, and I were sitting outside around a backyard fire having drinks and real talk. He said something that kind of surprised me, which was that I had lived with them as a kid for a period of about 4 to 5 years. This was news to me. I had not remembered living with them for that long at all. In my head, it was maybe 6 months. My dad was hurt I did not remember living with him. During that time, my stepmom apologized for being so mean to me during my childhood. I shrugged it off and joked, well, I guess it's water under the bridge since I don't remember. She said, no, I was really mean. And I said, it's okay. All of it has come around. We are good now. Fast forward to 2 days ago. Over the weekend, the man that I love got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. Magical moment, and we have been very happy. In fact, it's the first relationship I have ever felt safe in, but it takes work and effort for me to trust. I tell my dad and stepmom the news and watch the whole thing turn and capsize. My dad makes a comment about how I had to beat my sister to a ring. My sister is their daughter. My half-sister is in a serious relationship that is also leading to marriage soon. I am struck. I do not feel competitive with my sister, and she and I always have celebrated each other's victories. Then, my stepmom asks about where and when, and I tell her it might be a year out, and she starts making excuses about how she will not be able to go, not willing to go, but tells my dad he can go. I hear this, and know that my dad will not ever take a trip without her, and start to panic that he will not come to my wedding. The comments pile and mount, one on top of the other, until my whole body is trembling. Although I have been sober for a year, suddenly I want nothing more than to drink. But I do not drink, say everything's fine when asked, and try to leave on a good note to make sense of my feelings in private. Something that needs to be explained is that there has always been a strain with my stepmom and me. I try hard to do things right, but I am scared of her, and always have been. As an adult woman, she still scares me. She's incredibly controlling, powerful, dominating, and is hard. My tactic in avoiding being a target of her passive-aggressive behavior and anger is just being super nice. Nice all the time. Smile, swallow, repeat. When I came home from the engagement announcement, it was like a floodgate opened. One memory cascaded into another, and another, and another. Suddenly, I can recall being 7, and 10, and 12, and all the fear I had as a child in their home. I remember how much she hated me, the name-calling, the scapegoating. I remember sucking back tears and being told not to cry at all. I remember the secrets I had to keep about how mean she was. I remember walking down the hallway in our home and being pushed into another room while my dad watched TV in the living room, and her whisper screaming that I was a brat and a terrible child and was ruining her marriage and being told not to say anything to my dad. I remember she controlled my sleeping habits. I have always slept on my stomach, but she required that I slept on my side to face my little sister at night, and she would come into the room in the middle of the night and catch me on my stomach just to wake me up and yell at me and tell me to go sleep on my side. She controlled the relationship I had with my dad. We could not do anything she was not a part of, did not supervise or control. I remember being cornered again and again. I was targeted, and she was after me relentlessly. I remember her sisters telling me how sorry they were and that it is not okay for me to be treated this way. She was a relentless bully. I remember my sister, who was 7 years younger, always trying to protect me and shield me from her mom. I remember being taunted and teased and made fun of. I remember one time she yelled at me out front of our house, and I got so scared I peed my pants and had to run inside and change. I remember our neighbors saying that I was safe in their home. If I ever made a mistake in their house, they would not tell my stepmom. I remember when I left my dad and stepmom's house to move back in with my mom, that they took down all my photos off the wall and told me they would be fostering or adopting a kid to fill my place. When I moved back with my mom, life changed and was chaotic in a way it was with my mom, so I think I just forgot all the stuff and kept going. But with the sudden flash of remembering and everything now, there is just anger. Layers and layers of anger. Anger that my dad did not stand up for me. Anger about what they knew but I did not. A huge sense of abandonment. What the hell is this? How can I have forgotten all of this? How does it just sweep from view? In my head, I rage at her, and the main thing I say is, guess what? Now I remember. I sent them a text, a sheepish way to confront it, but for once I stood up for myself. It was very hard and my whole body quaked and trembled. They did not respond. The thing is, they have been trying in the past few years. They moved to my state. They want a relationship with me. She did apologize back in the yard that day. I know my dad loves me and tries in his own way to protect me. I don't think I will get any sense of accountability from them. But now it's like this mystery has been unlocked inside me. I always felt unsafe around her. I never felt like, even when she was being nice to me as an adult, like I could trust her. Now I know why. I think I am about to lose the last remaining chunk of my parents I had. My mom is gone, and I have continued to work through all the things that happened with her and will head back to therapy to deal with the rest. My sister asked what I want to come out of all this. Why put it all towards them? What kind of battle am I setting out to wage? And I don't really know. I didn't see this coming and I'm at a loss. I feel guilty for bringing this up. Like, I am going to wreck the family. But I'm also furious. I want them to have to hear it all from me. I want to ask my dad what he did and did not know. I want her confession. I feel like I can already hear my dad telling me not to be so dramatic, and yet I feel like I will not be able to stuff this one back in. How can I rehash something that I only now remember? Is it worth it to even try, or do I just salvage a fake relationship for the sake of having one? I feel bad about feeling sorry for myself. Is there anything that will come from holding them accountable, or am I just headed down a path of anger and victimhood? I wonder if I can even have a relationship from here. TLDR. I recently told my dad and stepmom I was getting engaged. My dad brought up my sister's likely engagement immediately and completely derailed my news. My stepmom said she wouldn't be coming to my wedding. It brought up years of bullying from my stepmom and neglect from my dad that I had forgotten all about. Now I do not know if I can have or want a relationship with them and feel insanely guilty for even bringing it up. Commenter's response. Forgive me for ignoring the big crux of the issue, but I'm stalled at, what's her angle here? They've been trying to better their relationship with you? But then you give them happy news, and she makes a baseless claim of her sisterly competition and immediately can't attend. Why? What does she still hold against you now? Why? Obviously she harbors some bullshit reasoning as to why she dislikes you so much, and she got to skate by thus far on your inability to remember the early days of her abuse. But this was an out. She didn't have to say she was unable to attend. She's choosing to still be a shitty person to you. OP's response. You have hit one of the more confusing aspects, and I think why this made it all come up and out. It's still the same behavior from both, really. That is why I'm kind of at a loss where faith in any change is concerned. Feels like if we're going to remain a family and spend time together, then I'll have to accept the underhanded comments that I have always been aware of. Thanks for pointing this out. It makes me feel less crazy. Commenter response. Hi, old damaged person here. I have one piece of advice, which is to let it sit a while. Think it over. Allow your initial reaction to crest and recede, then decide what to do. Otherwise, all the buried hurt will come boiling out, and it would go badly. As for what to actually do, parents are overrated. I know, I'm one of them. Build a strong family of your own, and don't worry about them. They sucked when it mattered, and now they're good when it doesn't matter. Update. Edit. Wow, this went. I figured this would be my own private story rant for a few eyes in a corner of Reddit. I did not expect this response. I've been battling with wanting to take it down or not. My fiancé has encouraged me not to. I've been panicking that my parents will see it. I do not want to hurt them. There is no part of me that wants that. Even in anger, I just want them to know and be honest, without downplaying what it actually was. Not sure that will happen. Pretty unlikely, but it's a want. As for what to do about it, I will head off to the EMDR and have a handful of referrals for Monday. I will take the damaged old person's advice, thank you, and move slowly here and get help and not go scorched earth just yet. Thanks for the help, encouragement, and congrats. As for my partner, which a few posts have asked about, I think he has been a huge reason this is coming out. I think the security of our home and relationship, plus the lack of booze as a coping strategy, has meant that there is now an opportunity to actually feel things? I don't know. It's new territory. He has been hugely supportive in all areas of my life. He is sober too, a processor, a thoughtful person, and we have sat and read some of the responses together and appreciated the insights and conversation. As for those questioning validity of my memories or repressed childhood stuff, new territory also. Like I said at the top, I had heard of this, but didn't know if it was an actual thing till I was in it. I can only speak to my experience right now as it is occurring, and it's been like a download of fresh information complete with recalling my home, surroundings, time of day, where I stood, where others stood, facial expressions, tone, who was there, what was said. So, no, my brain didn't just fabricate a false set of memories. I feel the truth of all these things to my core. This stuff was in me and there is no question of its reality. The blanks have just been filled in. It feels like a very unfortunate aha moment. Thanks for all of those who had shared their own personal stories of hardship and pain. Man, some of us have walked some really tough roads. I'm sorry for you all too. Someone shared a link to an article about how isolating abuse is. It's true. Makes me feel crazy. There is a strange solace in knowing others are out there, powering through their own pain too. Take good care. Update. 3 months later. Well, Reddit, it's been 3 months, and I could not have anticipated the way this was going to go back then. I want to thank everyone who offered real advice and support. I'm really appreciative of having some objective voices to weigh in. I did what everyone encouraged me to do and hauled my butt to therapy. I shopped for therapists and found a really stellar one. He is compassionate, attentive, and clear. I also got involved in ACOA, Adult Children for Alcoholics, which has been helpful for me. My response for a long while was just to hunker down. My sister decided she did not want to speak about this topic with me, so we have been distant. My dad and I almost went 3 months without speaking. He would text inquiring or asking to meet, and then cancel our meetings. I have avoided speaking to my stepmom altogether. My fiance and I have gotten really close through this experience. I have leaned on him, and he has been really supportive. We are doing joint therapy to work on making sure this does not affect the level of trust and safety we can have as we move into marriage. Emotionally, I have not been too well. The experience called the narrative and history into question. The shift that has been taking place has been sobering and disheartening, but it also feels like a lot of who I am and my makeup has kind of clicked into view. I have that, among other things, to be grateful for. All this hard stuff has led to some answers, even if they aren't the ones I wanted. My dad and I finally spoke on Saturday. It went precisely as I could have imagined, probably about as precisely as many of the commenters warned it would go. Honestly, I went back this morning and reread a lot of the comments before writing this and was shocked about how right everyone was. Bottom line, Dad was doubling down on nothing happened here. During our call, he said he did not want to talk about any of this, but then went on to say how much I am to blame for the bulk of it. He said he always felt in the middle of our battles. I truly didn't understand this. I have always felt incredibly passive for my stepmom and rarely did anything to defy her. When I questioned this, he said, "You always said things like, 'You aren't my mom. Don't tell me what to do.' I told him I had no recollection of ever saying this. He said it was when I was 4. You had it out for her from the beginning." The call was confounding. He told me that maybe he should not have tried to stay in my life and just done what his dad had done, walked away. He said this might have been better for me, and part of him wishes that he had just left and started a new family. He said it probably would have been better for everyone if he had done it this way. I made references to being like my mom. He said I always liked her more because of all the drama. He said this was me just bringing up more drama. I stopped trying to explain any bit of myself during the call and went quiet. There was blame, gaslighting, denial, hostility, passive aggression, all of it. The odd thing about all of it was despite him offering no validation of what had happened or what is happening now, I feel validated. In my gut, I knew that this was going to go this way. At least I know why I didn't ever stand up for myself. There was never much room to. I told him at least this much, that I knew this was the response he would give. Didn't expect to hear him say he wished he had just walked away, but there it was. He sees me as the problem child, and my feeling of being scapegoat here was just presented in clear view. Maddening a little, because I never even talked back as a kid. All in all, I'm thinking this is one I just go off and step back entirely. I could not have imagined ever stepping away from my family, but it does feel the sanest thing to do. I will continue to focus on healing, on therapy, on figuring out the business of trust. Thanks again. Best to you. TLDR, the internet weighed in. A lot of you with experience in this arena was correct. This isn't something we are going to come back from, but there is a light at the end of it all regardless. And therapy is a good thing.